Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly, and welcome to this video in which we're going to take a look at the 7 things all great golfers don't do. This is less about the sort of technical side of the swing and more about some of those strategic things that can really make a big difference to your score. Now, the advice in this video comes from Alex Elliott. He offers some really simple and effective tips that will help you shoot lower scores. Guys, if you're new to the Golf Monthly channel, please do hit the subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss any of our videos. Hit the like button if you like what you're watching. But let's head out now to the golf course here at the London Club and look at the 7 things that all great golfers don't do. Okay, so we are on the 12th hole here on the international course at the London Club, and Alex, this is probably one of the most intimidating shots on the golf course. You've got about 200 yards to the flag, it's all over water, and your tip to add to this was that great players do a great job of not thinking too much about the negatives in a certain scenario. On a hole like this, how do you not think about the big negative, which is hitting it in the water?
With absolute difficulty. I think the best thing to do is actually, when you've got a scenario like this, a lot of your attention will be on, oh, what's the water, what's this, what's that. I'd actually get into a habit of, if you've got a watch or you've got a Bushnell, actually lasering the flag and lasering the mound behind or a tree behind. And actually playing to a yardage a bit further. Yep. So it takes into account if you catch it a little bit thin or a little bit fat, because we all know we'd rather be chipping from the back of the green than having to peg one up here again, or even the drop zone. Okay. But also, I think it's not allowing it to manifest and spend too much time on this tee. Choose your club, choose your shot. Once you've chosen your shot and chosen your club, it's getting over the golf ball and sticking to your routine of trying to play that shot as best as we can, as if it wasn't there. Yeah. So the way I do that is I have my routine, no matter if it's a pitching wedge from 100 yards or a drive off the tee on a par 5, I'm going through that routine because that gives me a sense of comfort over the golf ball. And
I guess, we talk a lot in our videos, in the instruction content that we put together in the magazine about pre-shot routine and the importance of it. And it's something that all great golfers do. They all have a routine, whether it's one that's really structured that you can really identify, or whether it's a little bit more loose and relaxed, they all have a routine they stick to.
Yeah, and I guess the example for this for a professional playing on tour is never won a major before, coming down the stretch, they're going to be uncomfortable, but they have a routine which gives them that little bit of comfort. But also, I think the final point I'd say to this, it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And I think if you accept that, it doesn't become so intimidating.
Well, you're going to have to hit this one, I think, Alex.
So I've lasered the flag, I've lasered the far ground. I could probably get there with a 6 iron. I've gone 5. Okay. Take that water out of play and allow for that little bit of a mistake. Okay. Routine, always 2 practice swings. Standing behind, try and make as smooth as I can swing.
Very nice. Right in the middle of the green. Is it enough club though, Alex?
I'm hoping, I'm looking.
Do you know what? See, it's interesting. It's hit the bank at the back and then just trickled back onto the green. You'd be absolutely, even at your level, even as a pro, you'd be delighted with
I'm over the moon with that one.
So there you go. It's really simple, but how many of us get stuck into a really negative mindset on a shot like this? You've got to find a way to be a bit more positive, and a routine will really help. So Alex, when I'm watching the best players in the world, I'll often think to myself, they look like they feel totally comfortable hitting draws and hitting fades. But actually, you're saying that's not necessarily the case.
No, I think we've got to look at it, and most people look at it saying, yeah, we can hit it both ways, and that's what the pros do. But in my opinion, seeing it out on tour when I was caddying, is actually they play a shot that they know they can perform 8, 9 times out of 10. Whether that be a fade, whether that be a draw, it's something that they know is going to come out.
Yeah, and as you just said to me a minute ago, take Colin Montgomery, one of the game's most successful players. He was very much a fade player, wasn't he?
Definitely. I mean, we know he didn't win a major, unfortunately, but he played some unbelievable golf for such a long career, fading the golf all the time. But he knew that was going to come out. He knew that was his shot, and that's more powerful, I think.
Yeah, so how does this apply to people like me, people who are watching this video, people who are actually trying to put together a good score to get their handicap down?
Well, take this tee shot right here, the 11th. Bunkers down the left, and we've got the wind coming off our left as well. most people would probably try and think, right, okay, can I try and draw it and hold it on it, or I fear hitting it into the trees on the right hand side. Now, I'm very much a fade of the golf ball, and we said that you are as well from the tee. How I'd play about this shot is I would actually move the ball to the right edge of the tee, and I would really try and focus on teeing the ball down a little bit and actually hitting it back into the wind. So always playing with a shot that I know, the fade, but allowing myself to position myself on the tee so I don't lose it on the wind and get it riding it, almost like I'm hitting it back across it.
Yeah, but if your favoured shot was a draw, your advice would be, fine, stick with that draw.
Definitely, definitely. I'd be stood here thinking, happy days, I can draw it, hold it on that wind and almost buffer the wind, but stick with what you've got.
Yeah, very nice. Just sliding back now towards the middle of the fairway. So guys, really simple tip there. Have a very, very clear picture in your mind for what you're trying to do. It will definitely help you when you're under pressure. Okay, so this one is about taking on the hero shot. So obviously, the scenario we're in here, you know, the temptation would be to take this flag on, but it's a really tricky shot.
This is a par 5, say we're here in 3. Would you make 6 more often, chipping it past and 2 putting, than you would make 7 trying to go really high? Then I think the answer probably is yes, because it's much harder for me to play that flop shot and try and land it just over the bunker than it is to chipping it to 15, 20 feet. And guess what? If you're a good putter, you may even hold the putt.
Okay, go on then. Hit this one for us, Alex.
So I'd be thinking my game plan here is trying to land it in the hole rather than just over the bunker. And if I underestimate it a little bit, then hey, I'm going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
If I underestimated it trying to land it just over the bunker, well, I'm in trouble here.
There you go. Roll past maybe 10 or 15 feet. Having that mindset, as Alex said, of taking the trouble out of play by trying to land the ball in the hole, it's got to be a smarter thing to do in situations like this. Okay, Alex, we're facing a 50-yard pitch here. And actually, there's a really good tip, really simple tip that every single player can take on board. What is it?
Making sure we've got a clean club face.
Right. Yeah, you would never see a top player hitting a shot like this to a very tight flag, a tricky flag that's just over the other side of the hump without cleaning the face of the club first.
No, and especially when we've got the wedges where we're looking for a bit more spin, looking for a little bit more control, we want to really make sure we've got clean club face for contact.
So what happens if you don't have a clean face? Why is that such a problem?
So we've all heard that expression flyer, when the pros are in the rough and the ball just shoots out and they know straight away it's flown out with less spin and it's going a little bit further. You could, in a sense, get a mini version of that here.
Right.
You get a little bit of grass, or you get a little bit of dirt, or something between that and the contact. You could either get it coming out a little bit dead, where it doesn't really fly at all, or actually where it comes out, it pops, a little bit less spin, and rolls out away from the flag.
Yeah, and I think there's probably people watching this that might think, well, I don't generate much spin. But as long as you're making contact with the ball, you are generating spin,
100%,
right?
especially with like something like a 58 and 54, a lot of us will create spin, even if we don't think we do.
Yeah, okay, go on then, have a go for us.
So I would make sure, nice and clean, just get your T-peg in there, wet towel, and a nice caddy tip is actually get a corner of your towel, douse it in water before you go out. Makes it so much easier to get rid of all the rubbish on your club.
Yeah.
So then over the shot now, we can anticipate our best shot, and that's what's gonna happen. Think about it, we wanna plan for the best shot, the best case scenario, so having a clean club face is key for that.
Yeah. Oh. Perfect. Do you know, it was a very difficult shot. That pin is just over the lip of that hill. Alex, you played that really well. So there you have it, a really simple tip there. Make sure you keep the faces of your clubs clean. That way you'll get more reliable, more consistent results. So one thing that great players do not do is, Alex?
Rush out on the golf course.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess the tendency for a lot of people, again, myself included, when you're under pressure, everything speeds up that little bit more. Yeah. And if it speeds up, chances are you're going to forget to go through one of those things that you're going to need to take into account before you play. So what would be the process? What are the things that before every shot players need to consider?
Do you know what, the best way of thinking about this is imagine you've got a little caddy on your shoulder. Because European Tour players, PGA Tour players, they have that caddy. 3 things you've got to consider when picking our club: yardage, slope, and wind. Okay. And if we can stick to those, almost a premise of 3 things every single time, it's going to slow us down in general, not make us slow where we're holding up people, but just 3 things to think about, which makes us actually be a bit of due diligence before each shot and not just whack it away because we've had a 150-yard shot prior.
How many of you watching this would stand over a ball with a 7-iron and in the back of your mind somewhere be thinking, is it actually an 8?
Yeah, I can put my hand up. I'll put my hand up for you.
You know, we've all done it, but you have to do what you can to try and be as comfortable as you can with the shot that you're about to play, right?
Exactly, and they're the 3 things. Get your yardage, take into account the slope. Is it down? Is it up? Add on, take away a few, and then where's that wind? Is it hurting me? Is it helping me? And pick your club from there. Yeah,
we can all do that without slowing everybody down. We can all take that little bit of time just to make sure that we're prepared, to make sure that we hit the best shot possible. Okay, so this one obviously is about short putting. Alex, what's the mistake that you think amateurs make that pros don't make?
Rushing them.
Right,
I think for 2 reasons really. One of them, we've got a bit of anxiety. We know we should hold it. We rush up, we hit it.
Done with as quickly as possible.
Exactly, but also our playing partners are around us and we think, oh, I'll just carry on and hit that putt away. But very rarely do we see that on the TV. Most pros on the PGA Tour, European Tour, or even your PGA Pro will probably mark this, take the time and go through their whole routine.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing for a lot of money, so the incentive is there to make sure they don't make any silly mistakes. But the truth is, it really hurts. No matter whether you're playing for a lot of money or you're playing for your handicap, no one wants to miss them. So what's the process then? What does a routine do for you? How does it help you?
I think it calms you, allows you to take your time, and if there is a bit of a subtle break, you can take it into account rather than just rushing up and hitting it. Before you know, well, actually could be an okay putt, even though you rushed it. You could have just set up on the wrong line. Okay,
go on then, hit this one in, don't miss it.
Oh, I feel a bit of pressure now. So what I do is, I just get my line on my golf ball and I always aim it on these putts towards the centre of the hole. So I know where centre is. I've taken into account if it's a little bit left to right, I'll aim a little bit left of my line, a little bit right to left, aim a little bit right of my line, but I like to know where the centre of the cup is. Down, one look at the hole, hit it away.
Straight in the middle. Okay, so this one is about the equipment that you choose to carry, in particular, your golf ball. Now, Alex, what would be your advice to people watching this?
First and foremost, try and use the same brand of ball and also the same ball within that brand. So whether it's always Pro V or it's the Tour Soft, I think it's getting used to a certain golf ball. You can start to predict what happens a little bit more.
Yeah, because I think probably for a lot of people watching this, you know, they will have a favourite ball that they like to use, but then their next favourite is whatever they find lying around in the golf bag. And if those golf balls have totally different feel, that can actually filter through into your game, can't it?
Definitely, and I think off the tee, approach shots, for most people, it's probably not going to make much of a difference, but these shots around the greens, the shots to keep our scores going, the up and downs that help us break our handicap, this is where it matters. Predicting what spin you get on the green, depending on what ball you use, you've got to get used to what happens.
Yeah, so Alex, you've got here in front of you, you've got a Tour Soft golf ball by Titleist, a good feeling golf ball, good golf ball will be the right thing for a lot of people out there, and you've also got a Pro V1X, which will offer a slightly different spin, a slightly different feel around the greens.
So we've got the Tour Soft first.
Very good shot, Alex, because that is very slippery down there.
It is. And then this is the Pro V1X. Probably a little bit more spin on this one, I'd anticipate.
Yeah, and you can see that second bounce it did just grab. I mean, actually, the way that you played that, the Tour Soft has actually helped you out by rolling out that little bit more. But I guess the point is here, you can choose whatever golf ball you want to choose to play, but it's about consistency, isn't it?
Pitch them in rough with the same area. One's finished short, one's rolled nicely out to the flag.
Yeah, okay, so have that tip in mind. Anytime you are competing, it might just make a big difference. So there you have it. That was Alex's list of 7 things all great golfers don't do. I thought it was a fascinating insight from somebody who's caddied out on tour, who's seen the best players up close quite a bit and can just testify to the fact that they're very good about not making these kind of minor, simple mistakes that sometimes we as amateurs make that can end up costing us shots. Guys, before you go, please do hit the pause button and let us know, what did you think of Alex's tips? Do you think we missed anything? Please do leave some comments below. We'd love to hear what you have to say. But for now, from the London Club, it's goodbye.